Hey everybody, happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
It is 33 degrees here, 24 degree wind chill, or they now call it real feel. So the stove is a going.
It's cold.
It is cold.
And you have to feed it often.
Yes, actually all night long.
I just got up here. I was running.
Yeah. You sound like you're running.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
I went and checked the fire, made sure that I had to bring wood into the house so that I could put wood in the fire so that I could get up here.
Yeah, you made it.
I got it.
I was watching the clock.
In time.
I would have gone live either way. I'm a stickler for that. Like, I think it's, just super important, right? These people spend their time and energy to be here, right? We need to be on time, but you made it, right?
I'm here.
And you're breathing hard.
Yep. Nope,
Yep.
I'm calming down.
Well, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I hope you guys took time to think about all of the things that you're thankful for.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving.
Because at the end of the day, that's really what it's about. I mean, we're going to talk a lot about Thanksgiving tonight, and I found it was actually sent to me, but found a really cool article on the history of Thanksgiving, and so we're going to talk about that a little bit and how it's changed over the years, and pretty good stuff. But probably should get some hellos in first one.
Okay.
Greatest name on the internet.
Half Bubble Off Club.
It's in the house. He also says down here that in Northeast Florida, it's 36 degrees.
Cool.
Yeah, that'd be cold for Florida. They actually have a fire going. I wonder what percentage of people in Florida own a fireplace or a wood burning stove. Probably not many. Yeah. Kent, welcome in. Greetings to you, and I hope you had a grand Thanksgiving. The King, Jeff, Juicy, Hefty, Lefty, Amazon, Mud Dauber, Slick. Phyllis is in the house, as is Louise Wesley.
I'm so glad that you're calling her name.
I always call her name. My brain, and that works faster than you interpret.
I don't think that's how that works.
Will be cool. How are you? Georgia girl, what is going on? Hello back. Dana Green, welcome in. Jim Botho, welcome in. Jen from Life with Mike and Jen is in the house. Good to see you. See you soon. Lisa's here. Oh, got it. Yeah, Georgia girl says, I talked to you. I was referred by Steve Manoon. Yeah, have you talked to Steve lately? I have not talked to him in a little while. Tamara, good to see you. Jane Marie, hello, hello. Carrie Davis, welcome in. Nitos, I hope everything is done on your end. I got assurances that they would make it important. So I hope that's the case. Redneck Tom, what's up, buddy? Let's see here. Did I already say hello, Tamara? I think I did. Maybe not. Tamara, welcome in. If I didn't, already say it. Plumber Mickey, what's going on? Let's see here. Yeah, Will Be Cool says, I have a fireplace in my house in Florida, but we almost never use it. Well, I can understand why. Fix the screen. What is going on? They keep doing this. I don't know. Is everybody having a hard time seeing the screen? We did this last time, didn't we?
Show vertical? Did you push something?
No, I had this off, but let's see here. I'm going to wait till someone else tells me I'm messed up too.
Well, what did you push?
Yeah,
just a second ago?
Louise says Lou is much easier, which I agree. David Strom, how are you, my friend? Mary Michelle, welcome in. Randy Edens, good evening to you. They say can't see your face, can't see your face. Sharpshooter, welcome in. Stan Gunther, hello, hello. Alice and Ashley Fitzpatrick, what's going on? Let's see here. Looking good here. Screen is fine here. Okay, so if you're having you might have to get out and get back in. This did this last week a little bit too, and it's I don't know if it's a YouTube thing or I use StreamYard to build all this. I don't know if that's the issue. Don't know. Yeah, most people are saying, yes, I did get a haircut, David. Look at that. I was feeling a little bit like Elvis.
It's all silver and shiny.
Half Bubble Off Plum. See, you are on your comment shows me you're on a cell phone. Are you on a TV or a cell phone? It's the formatting thing. On my end, I've got a full screen.
Oh, that's cool. It tells you that they're on their
See
phone.
That right there? Anyway.
So is Dana Green on the phone.
Okay, here you go. Instigator says it's not a phone or PC thing. They clicked on the wrong one. Suggest they exit out and come back in. Got it. So they've changed the format of it. I don't really think I can change it.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, Dana Green says it's vertical. I wonder if I can. Here, talk to them. I'm going to see if I can get rid of one of these.
Get rid of what?
I'm going to see if I can find a way to stop the live.
So, Dana Green and Half a Block Plum, if you can exit out and come back in. And David says you clicked on the wrong thing when you came in.
Permatopia, welcome in. So I got half my phone screen chopped off.
Oh, because see, she's on a phone too.
Yeah.
If you click out and come back in.
Yeah, I think the TV is fine. The computer was messing. All I did was back out and re-enter. So back out and re-enter. That's the only advice I can give you guys. Yeah, if it looks bad, shut off and reset. Fine in phone, I meant. Didn't help on phone. David said I'm a silver fox. I am getting more and more silver.
He saw kinds of shiny.
Full screen
The
now.
Half a Block Plum says what?
Full screen on phone, but cut the TV's narrow. I don't know what to do about that. I wish they wouldn't have changed it. See, I have a theory that if I just deleted the live for the cell phones, that I would maybe, but it might take this whole thing down.
Right. Let's not do that.
Yeah. Whisper Creek, what's going on?
Oh.
Is that a new name?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that just because that's either somebody we know or something?
But yeah.
I think so. Okay, Nito says there are two different lives. One has a cell phone icon, the other one does not. Why they would do it that way? Well, you got to select which one you want.
So click on the non-cell phone one.
Yeah, it says I sent this in an email before. Somehow there are two different streams created on YouTube. One has the cell phone icon, one does not.
And they want the one that does not, correct?
Well, depends on if they're watching on their cell phone or on the.
Oh, it's okay. So if they're on their cell phone, they have to click the cell phone version.
I think.
Otherwise, it will show up weird.
Allison says it. Oh, I gotta put that up there. Allison says it's fine. We can hear you and see most of you. Looks good on the big screen. Cindy, welcome in. Let's see here. YouTube had two to choose from. One was bad. Does that mean it worked for you? Did you just go back out and pick a different one? What a mess. What a mess. Dana said did it twice, not working. Yeah, Allison said, oh, yes, back out and re-enter on alternate option on TV, and it's all good. Oh, my goodness.
Well, that way we know, so that for future reference, we can say what you have to do.
But if we have to do this every single time, I had to close all the way out and then out of YouTube and then find you again. I'm good now. She says watching on Facebook works.
So are the people that having issues this week the same people that had issues last week?
I don't know. I didn't write them down.
That's why I'm asking.
Jen says if you're using a phone, choose the stream that doesn't have the phone icon. Yep, Helen says 2 lives came up. One had a cell phone next to it. I chose the one without the cell phone. Yeah. Jen says you can choose the one you want.
Choose the one you want.
And Jane says no, you can choose either one. Yeah, it started last week. Yeah, guys, if you have a problem, you can also watch it on Facebook. On my end, there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm not sure. What a mess. What a mess.
Sorry, folks.
Try F2, right? Right. The data said she did not have this issue. I have you on my TV, all okay, and my phone, all okay. What a mess. Anyway, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why they got to complicate things. It was working just fine before.
So I think everybody got theirs fixed, though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Dana Green did not get hers fixed, I think. That was the only one that
hasn't yet.
That hasn't gotten theirs fixed.
Yeah.
Right now, today.
Yeah, everyone else seems to be doing okay. I wish I could figure out how to just switch it for everybody. You know what I mean? But there's no.
I was on Friday.
Hey, Silver Lining, what's up? How are you? I was just thinking about you today. Seeing something on Facebook that reminded me of you. At first it was upside down, but then I remembered I was standing on my head. Next there will be the Australian version that's upside down. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, everything's fine. Okay. Making potions and lotions this evening, says Silver Lining. Yeah, we just used some of your lotion and potion. Yeah, I remember you gave it to I burnt my face welding. Not like really like seriously burnt, but like sunburnt. You know, the top of my forehead, for example. And so
and your nose.
Yeah, and so she put, because I wear goggles.
Yeah. I gave him your creamy new lotion and he loved it.
It's okay.
And that healed your face like in just a day.
Yeah, it was great.
Like 2 days.
Tag Bill says he's switching to solar on Monday. Wonderful. He is tired of waiting on the county, and I don't blame you. And waiting till Monday is because we have a house full of company. Yeah, I could rant. One version shows a cell phone held vertically, but gives only a vertical picture. But I had to select the other one several times before it would let me chat. I have people tell me all the time that their chats get removed. Like when someone put a comment on, and YouTube will just automatically take it down. Silver Lining says calendula salve is good for burns. Is that what you gave me?
No, I just gave you the one the latest one she gave me.
You didn't even know what it was? I
don't.
You're just like, here, shut up.
It's like an everything lotion.
Because there's like the thing.
Yeah, right? Lisa.
Oh, very good. Jen says Mario is already asking what he's going to do when he runs out of tallow. He loves it. Well, just have to get some more tallow, right? Maybe next time you guys come up.
Tallow? Is that what the Lisa lotion? Is that what she's talking about? What tallow?
I don't know. We'd just have to ask. I probably missed all kinds of hellos. If I did, I totally apologize. Oh, there's Skates Girl. How's it going, Skates Girl? Yeah, Lisa made it, she said.
Lisa made tallow?
Yeah. Yep, Skates Girl says my soffits are almost completely closed. Well, I don't know what almost means, Skates Girl, but I'll tell you this. The more tight you get that, the better your days will be in this next week or two. But if you need something, speak up. Don't, completely suffer. I appreciate you. Hey, I'm going to forge through, but don't suffer. Right. Yeah. Helen Happy Harvest said, I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. We did. We'll talk about that a lot. Let's see here. What do y'all do with your Thanksgiving food left over? I saw your video and still have lots of food. Well, it got dispersed to homesteads, right? So, we didn't end up keeping it because a lot of people bring a lot of different things over. And so it just kind of goes home with them. And then we get some. Bee was eating some right before the live.
Ham sandwich.
Tonight. Yep. Silver Lining says tallow was the base, but other good stuff too.
Was there calendula in it?
Hey, Can Squash, how are you? Let's see here. Skanes Girl says there's some small spots on the corners. Going to nail something over that tomorrow. You guys, so Skanes Girl is in a tiny home that she built and started late in the year. This is because of the timing and all of that stuff. And so it's been a little bit of a race to try to get it closed in and insulated before,
Winter.
Yeah. The ice thing comes and everything gets, pretty cold around here.
Polar vortex.
Hippocrates says, I saw a t-shirt that said Thanksgiving food leftovers are for quitters. Yeah. Hey, Pippinized, how are you? Cheers and happy Friday to you as well. Let's see here. Nito says Yansa sells salves with buffalo tallow. Skanes Girl says it's a shed. She built a shed. I think Skanes Girl, her and I were talking about this, might be one of the long lost followers of the Manson family.
The Manson?
Yeah.
What Manson? Yeah. Charles Manson?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
You have to ask her about
it. Skanes Girl?
Yeah, she said I almost died yesterday trying not to be quiet. Yeah, Helen says, I saw B Wood cooking turkey. Oh yeah. Why don't you talk about cooking your turkey in
Well,
the wood stove? Because we did not cook the turkey in the community building with this huge gas
I
oven
know.
and all this. She wanted to cook it in her wood stove, right?
Yeah, well, because I was already here and the fire was already going, so I might as well utilize the heat while I had it. And it cooks that bird so fast.
Mhm.
I mean, I planned for 7 hours and then it cooks it in 5.
Mhm.
It actually, so American Roots, Jess and Joe, they grew the bird and then butchered the bird and then brought the bird. And she actually put brine on it. And then I took it the next day or the day before and put it in the cooler outside because it was really cold outside. And then got up and had to kind of clean it up a bit and then rinse the brine stuff off. And she gave me a full hotel pan to cook it in, which was like super cool because I didn't have to like, before my roaster, I'd have to like tie the thing up and get the legs all tucked in so that the legs aren't sticking out of the pan. And I remember one year we had the George Foreman rotisserie. My dad had a rotisserie, and when he died, I got it. And it took me over an hour to tie that bird all the way up to get it to where it was all cinched up so that it would not flop.
An hour?
Yes, because it was like every time it would rotate, it would like flop if you don't get it all tight. And so Jess gave me a hotel pan and I put that in there. And then when she butchered her birds, she left one hole and then she took the other ones and cut them in pieces. So the breasts and the legs and the wings. And she gave me the parts to another bird. And I put two birds in that one hotel pan and then lowered the rack in my wood oven, which didn't realize I had this, but there's 4 options for the grate to go in and out. Well, there's 3 options, and then if you take the bottom one off, you could just set it on the bottom, is what I figured out. So I was able to raise it to the one just above the bottom, and then I put the turkey in there, and then I was able to like slide the potatoes up underneath there. So I got 2 turkeys, the green bean casserole, and the potatoes all in the oven inside the wood cook stove, which is a lot of food for a wood stove, I think.
Mhm.
I was impressed.
Turkey was fabulous.
And we had it all done and ready, and we waited an extra 47 minutes for the neighbor. But everything else was all done and ready, and we had what are those pans called with the burners underneath? Chafing dishes. Chafing dishes? Not chafing. Chafing. Oh, we got all the food set in those, and so we were able to keep it all hot. But we did not turn on the oven, the big gas oven, propane oven inside the warehouse. We did not do that at all. We had a grill out front, and we had it was packed. There was stuff on the outside, there was stuff on the inside, there was double-deckered stuff on the inside of the gas grill outside. Just trying to keep stuff hot because we waited an extra 47 minutes for the neighbor.
Helen says she was wondering why you didn't tie the legs closed to keep in the moisture. How did it taste?
It didn't need to. It was the bottom of the pan was full of moisture.
Yeah, it was super good. Wasn't dry at all.
Very good.
Yeah, was not dry at all. Hey, Wheat State dude, what's going on? Prockery says sounds like the oven used in the story Hansel and Gretel.
Pack it in.
Yeah, it was a super good Thanksgiving. I got some pictures I'll show you guys.
Yeah. And I did there were 3 people that did sweet potatoes, just different kinds. So I did
all kinds of colors too.
I did sweet potatoes, I did green bean casserole, I did rolls, and I cooked American Roots turkey, and then I cooked a small ham, just one that I had in the fridge. It was like that big. And then there were people who brought all kinds of other stuff. Somebody brought the stuffing. Oh, she called it dressing. And then noodles and lasagna and cranberries. Oh, that one cranberry sauce. Did you try that?
Mm.
It had like blueberries and apples, which I don't usually eat cranberry sauce, but I did actually take a scoop of that. It was actually pretty good. It had, you could taste oranges in there even. It was like a fruit salad. Tasted really good. Anyway, there are a couple different gravies, a couple different turkeys.
This picture is the kitchen in the community center. And they're getting, this is that morning, they're getting ready for everybody to come over. And so this is just the morning, right, as we're getting started. And nobody's here yet. Just a couple of them who are, kind of
Putting
prepping.
stuff up.
Yeah, and those kind of things. But didn't miss nobody here. Silver Lining says, I sure hate that I missed you all. Yeah, we hate it too. Yeah, Jen says, it's dressing if you're Southern. Stuffing is what's in a teddy bear. No.
Well, she said,
no.
She says, I'm going to bring stuff dressing. And I said,
Hey, Homestead Twins, welcome in. Go ahead.
dressing, like a lettuce and dressing or stuffing dressing? And she said, stuffing dressing.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
I didn't
dressing
know
to
it was
me
called
would be
dressing.
ranch.
that's why I was like, are you bringing a lettuce salad and then some dressing? Or are you bringing stuffing dressing? And she goes, stuffing dressing.
Only in the English language do we have words that mean all
Stuffing is
different
what's in a teddy bear. Well, it's 'cause didn't they used to like stuff it in the bird? Isn't that why they call it stuffing? Why would they call it dressing? You pour it over top of it.
You should ask some of these Southerns in here, right? Why they call it dressing.
Why do you
I
call
don't know
it? Why do you call it dressing? You dress the bird with it. You're dressing it. I think that would still be on top of, not inside of.
We'd say, dude, says, I'm glad you're setting up a nice self-reliance community in our county. I need to come meet you guys sometime. I'm ready. Come on, let's get this thing done. But we're here 100% of the time. There's always something going on.
What's the wheat state?
Kansas is the wheat state.
That's what I thought. So they're from here?
Yes. And in fact, a good clue to that would be right there in our county.
Well, come on over.
What happens when you read a comment? And
I
you read the
didn't.
whole comment.
I didn't.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah. And when you read it, I was thinking something else, obviously. I was probably thinking why the blue jugs are sitting on the counter up there.
Yep. Let's see here. Louise. Lou, how about that? Jen is absolutely
Listen.
correct. I grew up with dressing.
Dressing.
Yep. Stuffing. Stuffing is inside. Dressing is outside. Now, see, logically, that would make a lot of sense to me.
Oh, because you cook it outside the bird? Is that why you mean that?
Yeah. We have a lot of mutual friends. I bet. Yeah, let's make it happen. Tamara said Mama called it dressing, Granny called it dressing, and Great Granny called it dressing.
So it's dressing.
It was a more polite, dignified way to term the dish. So saying dressing is politically correct. Yeah. So the bird get into pronouns.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe
you can't believe that. It identifies as stuffing. Louise says, I think stuffing was for the folks who stuffed inside the turkey called stuffing. Yeah. Stuffing is made with bread. Dressing is made with cornbread.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Dana Green says, my mama, the Canadian, prefers stuffing, but I learned it differently. Dr. Ashley says, any small home lots available you know of. You talking about an empty lot or already have a house on it? Because there is one. There's like in Onega, there's a listing in the town of Onega. It's like on 5 acres or something like that. And it's already got a greenhouse and a house. And
oh, yeah. It has.
I mean, it'd be a great place for a homesteader. Let's see here. Half a Bluff Plum says dressing because it added to the plate. You are dressing the bird. Let me see. I'm not nuts. Says my grandma made dressing. She put raw eggs in it. I don't use eggs, and I call mine stuffing. Yeah, stuffing to me too. Well, if you want to avoid the wooden spoon from Granny, then you best be on your manners. That's probably true. In the end, it's all stuffing, as in stuffing my pile. I agree with that. Yeah, Dr. Ashley, there's a house in Onega, Kansas, which isn't too far from here. That's in kind of out on the edge of this county, but right at the beginning of the next county. That's set up really, really good. Got to look it up. It's in Onega. Let's see here. Nito said, I grew up in northern Florida, southern, but my parents are from the north, so it depended on who you are talking to in terms of use. Got it. So anyway, we're preparing for Thanksgiving, right? You guys are getting everything warmed up, heated up. People are bringing everything. Everybody pretty much just brings. We ate like kings. There was way more food than we could eat.
Mm-hmm.
There was way more dessert than we could eat.
Yep.
And
everybody got to eat exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, it was pretty full. That's actually the other side of the community center. You can still see the kitchen back over there. And again, just getting ready for everybody to come over. Camber says, Yankees make stuffing.
There's, of course, a football game on.
Yeah, there's something. I don't know who was on. Somebody was playing, but
it's like red.
Yeah.
Chiefs.
No, because they didn't start till 3. There'd been full of people at that time. If it was the Chiefs, must have been something else going on. Might have just been reruns of something, or something. Yeah, who knows, or whatever it was. But it was pretty cool. I thought we had a pretty good trip. As you can see, people eating,
packing their plate.
Yeah. Yep, and it was again.
Did you take this picture? Did you take this picture?
I did. Yeah. Yeah, you didn't send me any pictures of all of this. I'm glad I did.
I'm glad you did too.
Yeah. David wants to know, how do divvy the leftovers? Well, there's a lot of people who just fill an extra plate and take it home with them.
Yeah, if anybody was like, I want to take a plate to my grandma.
Yeah.
They go and make a plate.
And beyond that, whoever brought it brings it back home with them. So
yeah.
Like we had a homestead do the 2 turkeys this year. And so they took the turkey home with them. Right?
Yeah.
Whatever was left. And you probably took whatever green bean casserole or whatever you made.
Ham and potatoes.
Ham and potatoes back with you, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And the gravy.
Hey, conserve friends, welcome in. Says, useless info. Stuffing was enhanced by the turkey's juices. The turkey was enhanced by the herbs of the stuffing. That's good.
Oh, so you do both. Oh.
What's the American way?
One with cornbread, one with bread.
Yeah, pretty good stuff, though. We had a really, really, really good time doing it. I'll tell you guys, I was sitting there just kind of enjoying it. I'm a people watcher by nature, and just watching everybody eat and, do their thing. And I was thinking about the Pilgrims, and I was thinking about the Indians, and I was thinking about the stories we, heard about in school, just about, coming together and, Plymouth Rock and, just everything, the whole thing that went on and how this is really no different. Here it's a bunch of pirates, there it was Indians and Pilgrims, but it was kind of neat and a little bit, what's the word I would use, humbling, I think, in a little bit.
Did they used to come together and everybody would bring something and they would?
Well, at least that's the stories we were told, right? That's how it happened. But
yeah,
it was good. It was good to put things into perspective for me, because this is exactly why you build community, right? It's just stuff just like this. And, a lot of the community didn't come because they went to their families or they, they did whatever. But the ones who didn't, we all just kind of banded together down at the community building and had a big, gigantic meal. And it was, pretty cool. Yeah. Carrie Davis for the win says, but the Pilgrims didn't have a slip and slide. No, they did not. Yep. Let's see here. Dana says, did you see Ontario passed that bad housing bill or whatever they call those proposals? I'm not familiar with that. I didn't read that. I've been a little preoccupied though. Like I got caught up on all the news yesterday and today, tried to anyway. And we'll cover all of that. But I thought it would be interesting if you guys didn't mind. So after going through this event and me thinking about Thanksgiving, I started thinking about, I wonder what the version of Thanksgiving that we get today versus the history of the Thanksgiving, and what actually came to be. And it was
the Indians and the Pilgrims, and
yeah, it was interesting. One of our community members sent me we have our own private Discord place where we talk. And anyway, sent it over for everybody to read. And I just saved it because I just thought it was such an interesting read. So it's long, but if you guys don't mind, I thought we could talk a little bit about the history of it and then talk about how it kind of changed, over time. Does that sound like a good idea to you?
Yeah.
So I'm going to get rid of me and B's face because it's easier for me to read. Okay. So on October 3rd, 1789, 6 months after ratifying the nation's new constitution, a grateful Congress packed with recent war veterans called on its first president to express its thanks to the divine creator who shepherded the new nation through the trials and tribulations. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall feel no evil. Washington agreed and promptly issued a formal proclamation of thanks, which you guys see I put over there for you guys to check out, which became the birth certificate of the first official American holiday. Now, therefore, I do recommend and assign Thursday, the 26th day of November next, to be devoted by the people of these states to the service of that great and glorious being who is the beneficent author of all the good that was, that is, or that will be, that we may then all unite in rendering unto him our sincere and humble thanks for his kind care and protection of the people of this country previous to their becoming a nation, for the signal and manifold mercies, and this is hard to read, and the favorable interpositions of his providence, which we experienced in the course and conclusion of the later war, for the great degree of tranquility, union, and plenty we will have since enjoyed, for the peaceful and rational manner in which we have been enabled to establish constitutions of government for our safety and happiness, and particularly the nation one now lately instituted, for the civil and religious liberty with which we are blessed, and the means we have of acquiring and diffusing useful knowledge, and in general for all of the great and various favors which he hath been pleased to confer upon us, and also that we may then unite in mostly humbling offerings of prayers and supplications to the great Lord and ruler of nations, and beseech him to pardon our nation and other transgressions, to render our national government a blessing to all people, and constantly being a government of the wise, just, and constitutional laws, discreetly and faithfully execute and obey, to protect and guide all sovereigns and nations, especially such that have shown kindness to us, and to bless them with good government, peace, and concord, to promote the knowledge and practice of true religion. I think it's interesting, the word true religion, and virtue, and the increase of science among them and us, and generally to grant unto all mankind such a degree of temporary prosperity as he alone knows to be best. I thought this was super cool, but the story continues. Go. Oh, well, you know what? I've got to click the right one, don't I? I just do that. It will work out. So most of you probably have never saw this, and this guy goes on to talk about he blames the public schools, but more on that later. Notably, Washington's proclamation included 0 references to Plymouth. The Wampanoag, Squanto, corn, buckles, shared feast, or debates about deep fried versus roasted. The purpose was explicitly Christian and expressively civic, religious, national, humility, repentance, and gratitude to Providence for the survival of the new republic. At the time Washington signed it, the ink on the new Constitution was barely even dry. All of his loopy, it was a hard word, religiousity would have driven the separation of church and state crowd to a complete distraction. Had it happened now in 2025, the federal judge would have struck down Washington's grateful proclamation before he even finished scrawling his signature at the bottom. But it wasn't 2025, it was 1789, and a new and fragile nation paused to thank the Creator for not immediately imploding. This foundational fact matters because Washington established the baseline. Thanksgiving was created as a religious civic practice, true religion, not a heritage pageant, not an origin myth, and definitely not a cultural mediation exercise. But it was, but it was not a federal holiday quite yet. For the next 70 years, Thanksgiving, this is from 1790 to 1862, by the way. Excuse me. For the next 70 years, Thanksgiving was a state level affair. Governors sporadically proclaimed days of thanks, usually when they needed to distract the public from the latest railroad scandal. Some New England states held annual days, others observed them irregularly. The South mostly ignored them. But no state declarations from this period, not one, ever tied the holiday to the 1621 Plymouth harvest. No pilgrim story, no native diplomacy tales, zip, nada. Even in its diaspora, the holiday remained a day of prayer and repentance rather than a historical reenactment. Part 2. On October 3rd, 1863, as the Civil War raged on, Abraham Lincoln issued a decisive proclamation establishing a new official federal national holiday, Thanksgiving. Lincoln was good like that. He federalized anything that wasn't nailed down, and a lot of stuff that was. Postal workers were especially thankful. In Lincoln's federal proclamation, the stovepipe hat-wearing president attributed America's blessings to the ever-watchful providence of the Almighty God, and like Washington, had a national repentance for humility and unity. Here's the excerpt from the proclamation. I do therefore invite my fellow citizens in every part of the United States, and also those who are at sea and those who are sojourning in foreign lands, to set apart and observe the last Thursday of November, next as the day of thanksgiving and praise to our beneficent Father who dwelleth in the heavens. And I recommend to them that while offering up the ascriptions justly due to him for such singular deliverances and blessings, they do also with humble penitence for our national perseverance and disobedience commend to his tender care all of those who have become widows, orphans, mourners, and sufferers in this lamentable civil strife in which we are unavoidably engaged. Fortunately, there was no ACLU to file for the injunction against all of Lincoln's silly religious stuff, but more importantly, for our theme, once again, scientists have estimated the population of the Pilgrims in Lincoln's proclamation recipe as precisely 0. No cornucopia, no flightful fowl, no spiced fruit salad. Lincoln's proclamation never even mentions Plymouth Rock. He never cited 1621. He was trying to save a nation, for Pete's sake, not commemorate a neighborly feast. 2 presidents, 2 wars, 2 proclamations, both calling for the gratitude and repentance. Lincoln federalized it, which became the inflection point where the modern holiday began. But none of this Thanksgiving history explains the baffling mystery of where all those pesky pilgrims came from.
Oh my gosh.
I found this interesting. Let's see the quiet part. We must now glance back a few years at a small historical footnote. Literally, in 1841, New England antiquarian Alexander Young published a collection of colonial documents. His quaint coffee table suitable tome included a December 1962 letter penned by one Edward Winslow, a pilgrim, describing a charming sounding 3-day harvest celebration shared with the settlement. How do you say it, babe? Wampanoag neighbors. The whole story is encapsulated in this sentence fragment.
You said 1961. That's 1621.
Did I?
Yeah.
1621. Okay. So here's what he said. At which time, amongst other recreations, we exercised our arms, many of the Indians coming amongst us, and among the rest their greatest king, Massasoit, I'm assuming that's how you say that, with some 90 men, whom for 3 days were entertained and feasted. And they went out and killed 5 deer, which they brought to the plantation and bestowed on our governor and upon the captain and others. That's it. That's the whole thing. In a footnote, the antiquarian Young casually called Winslow's short description the first Thanksgiving. Young loved pilgrims. He also published Chronicles of the Pilgrim Fathers and Chronicles of the First Planters. The label was editorial, not historical, and no one paid much attention to it at the time. The letter had no effect whatsoever on the official Thanksgiving proclamations and celebrations before the Civil War. Get this. All that historians have to go on is the one sentence fragment about the Wampanoag
Dinner.
dinner from Winslow's 1621 letter, which pretty much only claims that 90 hungry Indians arrived with 5 deer and stayed for 3 days. Only that single eyewitness account of the event exists, and everything else is either hearsay from decades later, gloss added by later historians, optimistic extrapolations, or archaeology that has never confirmed the meal's details. No other Plymouth colony left a diary entry, journal note, or letter describing that supposed feast. Not one. Governor William Bradford, the author, who surely would have noted it, never mentioned the Wampanoag supper or even the visit in his famous History of Plymouth Plantation, which covered the year 1621 in mind-numbing detail, but never described the extraordinary first Thanksgiving. Nor did Bradford ever mention it in any of his many later writings. Note, if you go Googling, you will find many false claims that Bradford wrote about the first Thanksgiving. He did not. The myth runs broad and deep. Nor was the famous cross-culture story mentioned in John Alden's writings. Miles Standish surviving consequences in the letters of the Albertons, Brewsters, or Hollands, or any Plymouth colony records, or any merchant correspondence related to the colony. This should make you happy. Even Winslow letter fails to mention anything about the famous pilgrims invited the Indians to give thanks story. It only says that they entertained and feasted with the Indians. The entire first Thanksgiving story ultimately rests on a single vague statements fragment in a single letter, plus Young's editorial comment, which explains why Young's footnote remained a niche curiosity until politics entered the chat. Part 5, 1870 to 1910. After the Civil War, the country's demographics were shifting, and large numbers of legal immigrants were diluting New England's cultural dominance. In response, New England elites, educators, ministers, and textbook writers embarked on a marketing campaign to define the real founding of America as a story about pilgrims, Plymouth Rock, and the English Protestant values. This well-intended revisionism is where the version 1.0 of the modern formula emerged. Brave pilgrims plus friendly Indians plus divine providence plus charming potluck dinner equals America. But it was always just a pleasant founding fairy tale. Between 1870 and 1910, progressive era school books began aggressively inserting Plymouth into the Thanksgiving story. The Young footnote, previously obscure, now became the narrative anchor. The holiday was retrofitted into a national origin myth, and even though neither Washington nor Lincoln had ever tied the holiday to the Pilgrims, instead both presidents tied the holiday to wars. Somehow Washington and Lincoln were stuffed down in the footnotes, and the industrial age textbooks elevated the quaint Pilgrim fairy tale to a full chapter. This is where the Pilgrim narrative got its cultural passport. Pilgrims and Indians breaking bread was still always just a sweet, harmless Thanksgiving story, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer saving Christmas. It was a greeting card meme at first, but then the liberals got a hold of it. What do you think? 1910 to 1945, with industrialization came the industrialized public school, mass-produced national textbook contracts, and the rise of civic holidays to help Americanize millions of new immigrants. Thanksgiving was the perfect vehicle. Textbooks standardized the Pilgrim story. School pageants cemented it with morality plays. Hallmark diligently printed it. Norman Rockwell cheerfully painted it, and children everywhere made construction paper feather headdresses that would later trigger woke historians and cause them severe emotional distress. The Christian God hadn't vanished entirely, not yet. He was just assigned to the kiddie table and given a small, polite serving spoon. Meanwhile, in 1939, not at all acting like a king, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt summarily shifted Thanksgiving back a week to stretch out the Christmas shopping season. Many states refused to follow him. For 2 years, America had 2 different Thanksgiving dates, depending on the state. In 1941, Congress officially set the holiday as the 4th Thursday in November. After World War II, the globalist communist revolution shifted into high gear. McCarthy chased Reds around the State Department. Democrats chased McCarthy around the state. And the United States mysteriously experienced a severe bout of secularism. Bibles and prayer were banned from public school, and the final leftovers of faith from the nation's Washington Lincoln tradition were scrapped into the historic after-dinner trash can. The new Thanksgiving pilgrim myth was baked into perfection, bubbly sweetly into a delicious parable and multicultural harmony. Pilgrims, Indians, peace, cooperations, and pumpkin pie. As for Washington and Lincoln's religious traditions of prayer and repentance, well, they were given the bird, the middle finger one, not the goblet. Washington's author of All the Good That Is, That Was, and That Will Be, quietly erased from the cookbooks. Children's the beneficent Father who dwelleth in the heavens sanded off the Thanksgiving table. By 1954, Dwight Eisenhower first started pardoning turkeys on television. Thanksgiving had completed its metamorphosis into a charming civic fable with all the depth of a Hallmark movie and none of the theological clarity of Washington or Lincoln. From 1945 to 1970, progressives and all pilgrims and Indians know God plus a new turkey pardon. We started with 0% pilgrims and 100% Thanksgiving to the divine creator and somehow wound up with Thanksgiving that feels like a DEI refresher module with better food and a celebration of conspicuous consumption plus an appointment with the treadmill. Don't get me wrong. I was raised on pilgrims and Indians. I made construction paper headdresses in school. It's a great story. Furthermore, the New England Protestant elites who started the whole thing going had good intentions, but the liberals effortlessly stripped off the pilgrims' religious motives and turned the whole thing into a way for the colonizers to thank original landowners with roasted turkey and stuffing. Like those who lived in 1789 and in 1863, we are also veterans of a great war, a bioengineered war waged against us by co-opted parts of our own government. We are thankful for our Creator for shepherding us through this terrifying ordeal and delivering us from our enemies. We repent from our national sins and led to exorbitantly to the very disaster from which we needed to be saved. Let us now recommit to teaching our children the true story of Thanksgiving and not the progressive myth. Enjoy your non-offensive pilgrim memes and sickly sweet Hallmark movies, but stick Washington, Lincoln, repentance, and God's great providence back on the dinner menus. Thank God for America. What do you think about that?
That doesn't surprise me that they basically turned it to consumerism.
It really is consumerism.
Trying to get it to
I thought
what they want it to be.
I thought it was interesting how, according to this research, which again is so hard to tell, right? Who do you know is real, right?
Right.
I mean, you always got to question that, but that Thanksgiving was really a day brought on by wars, right? And it was about thanking God for your survival. And it turned into the Norman Rockwell or whatever it is. Let's see here. Postmodern Soapbox, what's up? Says, thank you for the proclamation. That was cool to hear. Happy Thanksgiving to you and all your community. Amen. Let's see here. Trying not to think about my entire life built on myths. Bummer, it took 60 years to wake up. God's in control.
Isn't it crazy?
So once again, indoctrinate the young and it becomes the new speak truth. Right. It's Norman Rockwell's 1984. Right? They want us to believe something that isn't real. You know, imagine what would Thanksgiving be like now if we were remembering wars and thanking God for our survival, and that's what Thanksgiving was about, not pilgrims, Indians, and breaking bread. How would that be? You know, how would that be different now? How would that holiday look?
We'd be more grateful.
You think?
I think so. Yeah,
because I think it would be both of those, according to this, you know, both of the cases where Thanksgiving was really born out of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was born out of struggles and survival.
Yeah.
You know, it was a way to say, hey, you know, be thankful for where you're at, you know, kind of along the way. I found it being super, super interesting to me. I read it several times.
I think too, when you survive with somebody, you tolerate them more.
I think when
you love them more.
I think it's that you have more time.
You bond with them more.
You don't have time for the little stuff anymore.
Yeah.
You don't have time for the little things that bother. That's why people who serve in combat together become a type of friend you don't get anywhere.
Right.
because
When
you don't.
you're both going through the same trauma, the
yeah.
same.
You're laying in a cot and you're smelling their fart, and it ain't a big deal because you're just thankful to be
Mhm.
sleeping.
Yeah,
You know, you're
and to be alive.
right. You know, you just that little stuff you just don't have time for. Can Squatch says getting some sleep in KC. Yeah, it looks like for us it's going to go right above us and right beneath us, but we're not going to get.
It was
much.
sleeting.
Was it?
Yeah. It was
I
sleeting
don't
here.
think we're supposed to get much. Nito says religion is being pushed out of every part of our lives. I am sure it is to make the populace easier to control. Oh, 100%. Absolutely 100%. You know, they want to be your king. They want to be the master. I can assure you of this. You know, as long as we pay homage to the state, right, they got no problems. Camber says Thanksgiving has always been family getting together and eating and playing football in the front yard. Now, I think it would be very interesting to see what it would be had we kept to those original roots according to that document.
Yeah,
Right.
I think maybe we should.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think maybe we should start challenging a lot of the holidays.
You know, I was thinking about that as I was cooking part of my food, thinking, you know, as the Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in Christmas, they don't celebrate Christmas, they don't celebrate Thanksgiving, they don't
Mhm.
celebrate, you know, the holidays. And I was going, huh? Maybe it's because what they've changed them to.
Right. Amazing how those eyes get open, huh? But for you, it's got to be kind of like a holiday every day, right?
It's just rainbows. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, you get to live on permanent vacation, and then you have me.
Mhm. I know.
I mean,
And
you.
I'm thankful for it all.
The Blatt says, welcome, by the way, says, hard to stand up if the ground you stand on is shifting sand. This is true. And the system is designed for it to be shifting sand. Right? They don't want you to get out of it. I'm telling you, the very best thing is that every citizen works really hard, gets as in debt as they can get. You know, it's a very
Gets on
best.
their energy board.
Yep. Yep.
Eats their nourishment cube.
Yep.
Goes.
It's the very best thing for the system. The system's designed for infinite growth. And so because it's designed for infinite growth, they want you in it as quick as they can get you in it and keep you on it as long as you can until you're no longer useful. And they want to get you into Social Security and get you off the dole and off to the next deal.
Yeah.
And wash, rinse, repeat. I tell people this all the time. We are not designed to pay for the government. We're designed to power. And that's it. 100% true. Money is nothing more, but
that
it's true.
Sucks.
Babe, it's true.
You see that, it feels yucky.
It is yucky.
Ugh.
Money is an exchange vehicle for energy.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And you got to understand that. And so knowing that we're the battery, right? We're the battery that powers the country. We don't pay for it, we power it. And the better, I think.
That's why they wanted the women in the workforce.
Of course, more batteries.
Yeah.
It didn't matter that everything else suffered. Right? And, you know, part of the, you know, getting everybody on processed foods and all of those things, you wouldn't have to live quite as longer, which means Social Security wouldn't pay out quite as much. And you had an aging populace. And, you know, it's just all about the battery.
Well, and too, if you make them sick, then you can sell them more
Mm.
stuff.
The silver lining says, I'm thankful every day. David says, I need to take a shower. Yeah. Nito says, starve the beast, which I think is the perfect response. I think we have to focus on starving the beast. We need to focus our energy, put our power, put our battery to use in what makes our life better. What, you know, gives us a life of meaning and purpose, you know. That's where our energy should get spent. You know, it's amazing how many people I know who will go to great lengths to impress a total stranger, but will put in the very minimum they can for their husband or wife. Right? We've got it totally backwards.
Yeah.
Right? We should be investing our battery in the stuff that matters directly to us. Because none of us are going to get out of here alive. Right? We're all going to die. So,
right.
So what'd you get along the way, and what life did you lead along the way?
Right.
Right.
And what that stranger remember about you?
Mm-hmm. Right. Do they even care? Because the chances are they don't.
Right.
I promise you, people don't think about any of us as much as we think they do. Right? Gregory, welcome in. Hey, Tyler. Tyler Durden says an entire generation pumping gas, waiting tables, Slaves with white collars. Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy things we don't need. Perfectly. You know, I'm usually pretty quick with my words, but I could not have said that better. That's pretty exactly. You know, we are the battery that powers the system.
That don't feel good either, Tyler.
Nope. But I mean, here's your choices. You can keep powering it.
Yeah.
Right. Or you can put that energy to work somewhere else, or put it to work somewhere else.
Right.
You know, if you know, so crazy knowing what I know now, you know, if I could go back, I would have done whatever job I had to do to get out of it. But my mission would have not been the new purse and the nice car. My mission would have been, how do I get out of it? How do I put all of my work and energy? Yeah. How do we get be a wallapini?
How do we bury a room?
Yep.
And make it look like trees.
Yeah. Jen says monkey butter on leftover homemade biscuit is something to be thankful for.
Oh,
I
I think we have her monkey butter, and we have homemade biscuits.
I haven't eaten in so long. I don't remember what it's like.
I brought you leftovers. You just didn't want to eat them. He does not eat leftovers.
That's not true. Depends on what it is. Just depends on what it is.
Nothing I brought up.
Yeah, no. Let's see here. Instigator says every time I hear someone talking heads saying increasing cost of housing, I yell at the screen, build smaller. Right. No. David says studying and questioning history is super helpful when we focus on the solutions. Thank you. Yeah, well, I think it creates a great talking point. You know, this would be a great thing, like an article like that would be a great thing to read in the community, just sitting around a table.
Yeah.
And then having a talk about, well, you know, what is it really about? And do we have are we applying the energy coming out of our battery in the appropriate place?
Right.
You know, and it was super good for me. I really enjoyed kind of going through that.
It makes sense. And it doesn't surprise me.
Maybe what we should start doing is let's work on creating our own traditions instead of the traditions that are handed down to us by both the left and the right. You know, that article was hounding on the left pretty good, but I'm going to tell you, they both do it. It ain't no different. But instead of celebrating the way that the deciders want us to celebrate, right, by the standard the deciders want us to, you know, you got to spend this amount of money on Christmas, and Thanksgiving isn't Thanksgiving without a turkey and stuffing and this and that, and you know, all of that. Maybe we start changing that and look into our own families and our own communities and say, hey, how do we make it different? Right? Do we do things different to really put our attention back on the things that are actually important? You know, I don't know. Tyler says, we're the middle children of history, man. No purpose or place. We have no great war, no great depression. Our great war is a spiritual war. Our great depression is our lives. Yeah, ouch. Aren't you just a bubbling factory of positivity today? You're in good hands. While prep cooking with my stepdaughter on Wednesday, I was pulling things out of my various pantry areas. Her jaw dropped multiple times. I told her if anything happens, we have at least a year's worth of food. Good for you.
She didn't know that already?
Mm-hmm. Silver Lining says, one of my sweetest little friends asked me why I was eating chili again, meaning we don't eat leftovers. Actually, chili leftovers pretty good. I'd put chili up there on the leftover list for sure.
There's two things on the leftover list.
What's that?
Well, chili.
You're just making shit up as you go.
Well, I'm sure there's probably something.
She's making it up as she goes.
If he doesn't know that it was leftover.
No, there's many times where I would prefer it wasn't, but I just deal with it because my choice is to eat that or
starving. My husband's starving.
You know, Tyler says we've all been raised on television to believe that one day we'll all be millionaires and the movie gods and the rock stars, but we won't. And we're slowly learning the fact, and we're very, very pissed off. I think this is actually a great point. Is that I know a lot of people who are pissed off. You know, I've been talking a lot to people looking to help on a homestead. And I feel bad for them in a lot of ways because it's becoming almost unreachable for a lot of people. You know, it's because it's so far out there, you know, and it's not because they don't go work hard. I know a lot of really hardworking people. Is it now just takes a lot. And, you know, and so I kind of get that. I kind of get that point, you know. Nito says, B, she didn't realize the extent. Hasn't been here for years. Give something to think about while she's laying in bed, you know?
Oh, the granddaughter.
Jen says chili
Or
and the tray
stepdaughter.
that still has cinnamon rolls in it, not technically leftovers. Yeah, and Gregory says chili is better leftover. Yeah, that's why I said I'd definitely put chili on that list. All right, baby, we're gonna keep it trucking. What else we got going on? Let's see here. We don't want to remove that.
I don't know what you're doing.
I know what I'm doing. What have you been working on?
I've been painting the closet. This is the closet.
In pod 4.
This is the closet in pod 4.
Baby, you've been working on this project for 3 years. You got to tell them. I mean, there's people who have grown up, gotten on Social Security, and died since you started this project.
No, come on. This is one of the pictures of the closet. It's like, how big is this room?
You mean to give you a different picture?
Yeah.
Yeah, those pictures look weird, but you took them, so.
Yeah, and it was kind of dark in there. So I got all the white painted, one coat. It still needs another coat. So all I need to do is go back through, paint the white again, and then paint the drywall. So the ceilings are painted. I don't think that. Oh yeah, there's one little corner. There's one triangle that has the wood on it.
The picture closest to me is underneath the stairs. I made be a shoe closet, basically, out of it. The other picture is the right-hand side of the closet, and I don't know. Nope. The last picture I got for that. Hey, Carrie says, what is the American dream? Well, I think according to whom?
Right.
And that's the thing, is that, I think you got to put the American dream as the second sentence, when the first sentence should be, what is liberty? Right? What is freedom? And, so I think living life according to your terms is freedom, and liberty is those wishes confined by morality, right? And so I think, to answer the question, the American dream should be, for some people, would be living in a high rise in New York, right? For some people would
Not
be
me.
right. Some people would be out having a farm. And do you have equality in opportunity, right? Not in result. There's no such thing as you can never have. Oh my goodness, what's going on here? Lisa says, "I give up. You are cutting out so badly." Anybody else having a problem with that? I don't think so. Anyway, so my question to the American dream is, what do you want it to be? And that was supposed to be the American dream. You can do what you want, but clearly we can't do that. Interesting thing, real quick, guys. My mom, which there's a whole big story here. My mom is kind of the crazy cat lady, but she only has one cat that lives in her house with her. But she feeds and nurtures all of the stray cats in the town.
Not all of them.
Man.
She caught in like one weekend like 13 cats. And there was the trap and release program that they come and they neuter them and then they throw them right back out. Well, she still feeds them.
Yeah. So the county will come get them, have them neutered or spayed, but they'll bring them right back. So anyway, she collects cats on the outside of her home because she feeds them and all of that. And so she has been on me lately over the last couple, month or so, and been saying, "Hey, will you please build me a cat house?
It's gonna be cold
because it's going to be cold, and I want the cats to have some shelter." And I'm like, "Mom, first, I'm not doing anything until you get written approval by the people that
I can't believe you did that in the first place.
I'm going to get her thrown out of the apartment. Then what happens?" This is called foresight, B. Okay.
Yeah.
So
so that makes sense. But so she had to call her the landlord or renting office or whatever and say, "I need a written notice that says I can have a cat house."
Yeah. So I made her get written permission from them. But so anyway, I spent about half a day and I built my mom a cat house out of just whatever scrap material.
Oh, it took you longer than
that. Yeah. No, really, a lot of it was paint drying and
you were out there for a good week.
Oh, where am I going here? There we go.
You should not have put cats on it.
Why?
That says I'm a freaking cat house.
Oh my goodness.
OMG. This says there are cats in here.
She's got written permission.
Yeah, but what a way to throw it in their face.
That's how I am.
You gave my mom permission to have cats. You made me build this box.
Yeah,
You're going to look at it.
David wants to know when mom's going to move in. Yeah.
Apparently, as soon as they see this box.
Pod 4 is ready for mom.
Carrie. Carrie. No. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe you put cats on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's adorable. It's so cute, but shit.
So she had some special requirements in it. So it's got 1.5 inch insulation all the way around on the inside. So
Yes.
it's all insulated. I needed to make sure that she could lift the lid because she wants to be able to change. She wants to put hay and stuff in there and be able to change the bedding. And my mom doesn't walk very good. So I have to make it elderly. So the lid actually faces her chair where she sits at, right? So she'll be able to open it and to be able to take care of it.
She wants to be able to peek in on
Yes.
them.
But she also wanted an entrance to turn the corner so that where
Yeah.
all the snow piles
And the wind doesn't
and
blow
the wind
right
doesn't
in.
go. Yeah. So I had to make this other little building on the side, right?
Why is it so long?
So the cats could get in,
Right.
right? So the cats will go in that little door and they'll go in there and they'll turn the corner and then they'll have themselves a cat house.
So which way does that face?
So the opening
Faces
would
south?
you know, it faces to the east. You'd be coming from underneath her chair. Her chair would sit right here.
Oh.
So, so it blocks all the weather, you know.
Okay, so at least the side that it's facing towards the rental office
Only has
window
one cat.
only has one cat. It's not like, look at all these cats playing on this box. And she might be able to put a plant in front of that.
You know, so there are people here that feed and put out water for feral cats. Aggravates me because I have to deal with them going after my chickens. Yep. Yep. Will 13 cats fit in there? I have no idea. And frankly, it's not my problem. The good news is I went
They
over.
were like kittens. some
She
of them.
has a concrete pad behind her back door. She's got a chair where she sits. So I went and measured the space. So
Mhm.
this will fit perfectly along and behind her chair.
And she has this chair she sits on outside
Yes.
and catches sun
Yes. So anyway,
and smokes her cigarettes.
yeah, it ought to be good to go. She ought to have a cat house. And
You did a good job. That's really cute.
well, the cool news, I built it all out of scrap. I didn't go buy anything.
It's the same color as our house.
Well, it's because that's what was left over in paint. Like, you know, and I actually called her and asked her. I said, "Hey, you want to paint it?"
She said no.
She said, "No,
yeah.
I don't want to paint it." So I said, "Okay, what do I got?" So I had this much in the bottom of a can. It got that color paint.
I like
So-
that you elevated the lid so it doesn't collect water. So the water doesn't sit
Mhm.
on it. That was a good idea.
Mhm.
And so she can't just stick stuff on it,
By design.
like collecting
Her
stuff.
coffee cup will not sit, it will fall off. So it can't be a collector. So anyway, I'm always worried about that. You know, I want to play the long game, and you know, that definitely isn't it. Right.
Yeah, you did a really good job.
I'm glad it's done. It was just, again, it was scrapped. It was quick, you know, glue everything together and, you know, staple it all and get it all ready to go. And I'll try to maybe drop it off tomorrow or something like that. It's sitting in my shop
Was
right
it
now.
dry?
I don't know. I've been out there all day, but I would assume so. It's pretty cold though. So,
Mm.
but it was just meant to be temporary anyway. Right. Till she gets the habit of collecting giraffes or something.
Giraffes?
Yeah, whatever. What else? I told you guys on Sunday, the 30th of November, I'm speaking in a online event at bhnuniversity.com with the Braveheart Nation is hosting it, and it will have Dr. Derek Wolf, then Honeycutt, Jim Gale, Dr. Andrea, I'm going to totally butcher this, Nanzarenko, Rob Youngkins, Nicole Scott, Pat Militich, Marjorie Wildcraft, Emily Mock, Derek Lamons, and of course, Tag
That'll be cool.
will be there.
That'll
So
be fun. That's in 2 days.
yeah, I've actually, it's already been sent. I already recorded it.
Oh,
It's all online, so it is already done. So
So everybody already did theirs?
I would assume they got them all. Because what they do is they put it in and then they go through and they edit them all and they put them in a online, tutorial. And then what they're going to do is they're going to wait a little bit. And then they're going to have a big Q&A with everybody, big round table thing. But
So you'll be back in it.
yeah, live.
To have
At that point, it'll be live. Yeah. But when you're just doing it, we're not taking questions and answers. You're just giving talks. Like everyone's talking about something different. Pat's talking about soil health and Jim's probably talking about food forests, right? Marjorie Wildcraft's talking about gardening of some sort,
Plants or
right?
something.
Yeah, of some kind. And I'm talking about community. So, but anyway, just wanted to put that up there again in case you guys wanted to go check it out. I will release the video of my speech on my YouTube channel, but I'm going to wait for their event first.
So you'll do it on Sunday?
Yeah, I'll do it
After 3:30?
Yeah, once it's
Eastern?
over, I'll release it. Since they had it already recorded anyway. And then the Freeman Festivus is coming up, which will be January 3rd. And we're just going to all get together and have a bunch of food. There's still lots of debate about what's going on, right?
What we're doing, yeah.
How long it will go, all of those kind of things. But we'll should have ourselves a good time. So here, David says, Jim Gale is quite impressive. I'm currently studying about how to become more sovereign. Oh, I'd love to hear how your answers to how to become more sovereign. That's not an easy task. When I started this journey, I thought it might be an easy task. Like, oh man, all I got to do is, go get off grid. And if I can get off grid, I won't have an electric bill or a sewer bill or a water bill.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
I was like,
and then,
whoa.
Then it was, hey, you know what? Let's get our food under control. We grow a ton of food. We have more food that gets thrown away than what we consume.
Given away.
And given away or fall off the whatever, right?
Animals,
yeah.
People. We help a lot of people.
Yeah. So, and I thought that was the answer. And the more you get into it, the more you realize you're so tied to it in so many ways, whether it's buying a cattle pen or, a fuel filter, you have to play in the system some.
Gasoline.
Yeah.
You're going to go somewhere, you're going to ride your horse.
Right. But even that, the horse will need shoes.
Right.
Or right.
Or
your
an
bike,
your walk, your shoes.
Yep.
You still need shoes too.
Yep. David says off-grid's part of the solution. Yes. Off-grid is part of it. Off-matrix is a whole nother thing.
Which we did not even realize that was a thing back then.
No, we had to learn it. Jen says free pallets of chicken feet get delivered.
Right. Yes.
You got anything left, by the way?
There's 3 packs in the
community building
warehouse.
All right.
Not community building.
Yeah.
It's a warehouse.
Yep, sounds good. You want to get to the good news since it's an hour and 12 minutes in?
Sure.
Right.
We have good news.
Yeah, there's always good news. The first one isn't good news at all, but then they get better as it goes on. Though.
Good.
You excited about that?
Yeah, we're going to start with the bad news.
Okay, well, we probably should remove that one. There we go. How about that? Let me see. I'm sure you guys have heard the news that 2 National Guard soldiers were shot. The young lady, the first little post up there was from her dad, and he was talking about how he was holding her hand and that she wasn't expected to make it, and she did pass. And the second one is obviously still in the hospital. And it's sad to me, as a former soldier, it's hard. The young lady volunteered to go do patrol that day. And this is in Washington, D.C., so that another soldier could go home and have Thanksgiving with his family, And I'm going to tell you, I know a lot of veterans, and they're good people, man. They're not all good people, but
what were they doing there?
They were just patrolling the streets. Remember, Trump has sent National Guard troops to many cities, and
so they were on patrol, and somebody came up and they didn't see him.
Yeah, open fire, and she was hit, fell down, and then he executed her. And pretty quick, and a third National Guard soldier come to the scene armed because she was unarmed, which is crazy. Why would you have that? That's the stuff that pisses me off. If you're going to do a job, let them do the job. Don't handcuff them. But anyway, then you get into the whole talk about armed troops on U.S. soil, and where was the police, right? And the problem is that you have a city who is actively working against Trump, right? And so you've almost got like two different forces battling, kind of in the same place.
So these guys are not. So if they're on patrol, they're not allowed to carry weapons.
I think that it's I don't necessarily know, we go so far to say they're not allowed to, but they're given an order. Most troops, babe, that you see in the United States walking around, their guns are probably not loaded. Because they don't want an accident. Yeah. But anyway, this is incredibly sad to me, but there's a lot to the story. And, the more that I've read into it, specifically today, because I spent a bunch of time on it getting ready for all you fine people tonight, the more, it kind of makes me angry. False flag exposed Sarah Blackstrom, which that's the lady of that died. Her name was Googled in Israel days before her murder. Who's leaking guard intel to foreign powers? Hold up, patriots. This DC National Guard ambush just got 10 times more sinister. 20-year-old hero Sarah Beckstrom, rest in peace, shot by Afghan CIA asset. Oh my goodness, Manhua Lakanawal near the White House had her name spiked on Google Trends in Israel on November 22nd, 4 days before she was shot. So why would someone in Israel be Googling this soldier's name? I mean, I don't mean this disrespectful when I say this. She was a PFC in the Army. I mean, there's nothing, not a general. It's not, anything like that.
And 4 days before.
Yeah. Yeah. Not just Israel. Her name popping in 9 random spots worldwide, obscure islands, far-flung dot. No civilians would know. Leaked soldier data, deep state companies, or is this just a one world government playbook already live? The Afghans evac with CIA-backed paramilitary ties drove cross-country for the ambush. So he was from Washington State, drove to Washington, D.C. to do the ambush. Now Trump's pausing Afghan visas. Coincidence or engineered psyop to reignite the Muslims equals terrorism fear, paving a way for instating the ban plus labeling the Muslim Brotherhood terrorist. Red flag screaming. Was our own government radicalizing this guy, planting the seeds for division while intel leaks to allies? This ain't random. It's a script, and we're the extras. Beckstrom deserved better than being a pawn in their game. Dig deeper. Archive everything before they scrub it. Who's really pulling the strings? Well. The first shooter was mysteriously Googled in Washington, D.C. So now we have Google spikes on not just the victim, but also the shooter. But the difference is the shooter's name was Googled a whole bunch in Washington, D.C., when the victim's name was Googled a whole bunch in Israel. Now a National Guard member targeted in the same incident was Googled in Israel, as we talked about. 2 separate names, 2 separate countries, 2 separate searches before any of this happened. How could that just be
how would they have known that she was there taking somebody else's place? How would they have even known that?
I don't know, babe. I think it's super odd, right? Oh, hey, look at that. Andrew's in the house. And my buddy Andrew says the shooter's name was also searched in D.C. and Israel days before. Yep. You beat me to it. It gets worse.
Searched in Israel.
The CIA, George Soros, and Biden administration connections to the National Guard shooter. Why are there Google Trends searches for the shooter that spikes hours before the shooter even happened? Lakanawal settled in Washington from Afghanistan through the World Relief Organization, which receives U.S. taxpayer dollars through USAID. So basically, we funded it, right? This is where the taxpayer dollars are going. The same NGO works with pro-migration and open borders groups that are heavily backed by the Soros Group, who also backed the transformation of the evangelical churches, which is connected to the housing efforts through the World Relief Organization. Lochinwall is reportedly a former member of the CIA-backed Kandahar strike force based on a leaked ID, and John Ratcliffe saying on Fox that Lochinwall had CIA partner forces ties in Kandahar from declassified briefings. So basically, this guy was working with American soldiers in a special forces group, Afghani-led, well, American-led, but Afghani special operations group. Let's see here. Digging deeper into the background and military experience of the shooter, the Afghan refugee fought in the late days of the U.S. war there as part of a Zero unit, a paramilitary force that worked with the CIA. The units were known for their brutality and labeled death squads by human rights groups. The suspects, identified by federal officials as Lakanawal, 29, grew up in a village in the eastern province of Ghost. I don't know how you space Coast, Khost, a childhood friend who asked to be identified only as Muhammad because he feared the Taliban's reprisals, said that Mr. Lakanawal had suffered from mental illness issues and was disturbed by the casualties that his unit had caused. He would tell me and our friends in the military operations that they were very tough and that the job was very difficult, and they were both under a lot of pressure. And you guys can see the pictures of the identification from the accused shooter. And I always say accused shooter because,
Right.
you know,
Because it's just what they're telling you.
well, and
You weren't there.
do you know, I don't really believe that the Charlie Kirk shooter was the shooter.
Right.
I mean, so, right. The new Afghan terrorist, Lakanawal, who ambushed the National Guard in Washington, D.C., was housed in Bellingham with his wife and 5 children through the nonprofit World Relief Western in Western Washington. 75% of the organization's income comes from government grants, primarily through USAID. So basically just saying that the American people were housing and caring for him and his wife and his 5 kids. His wife says she knew nothing about any of this.
And so they're still here.
They're still here as of right now. Right, the National Guard shooting suspect was reportedly identified as, I told you who he was. He was an Afghan citizen. Law enforcement sources tell ace journalist Julio Rosas, a National Guardsman who was not armed with a firearm, used a pocket knife to stab the suspect. Another guardsman responded to the gunfire and shot the suspect multiple times. The suspect reportedly shouted Allah Akbar, and the White House was placed on lockdowns. I found another source that said the National Guard soldier armed with just a pocket knife put his life on the line and charged the armed Afghani terrorist and stabbed him. An absolute American hero. President Trump says that the Afghan man who was, and again, this is Trump speaking, who was a CIA asset just went crazy, is the answer. It was just exposed that the George Soros-funded NGO who paid for the settlement of the National Guard shooter in Washington State, Elon Musk warned everyone about George Soros earlier, saying he fundamentally hates humanity. The FBI director, Kash Patel, said there is confirmation now that the subject had a relationship in Afghan with partner forces. So the translation to that is he worked for the CIA. Right? So here's a guy who basically was a Afghan soldier working with the CIA over there, came over here in the fall. Remember when we pulled out of Afghanistan, right? Came over here, American taxpayer dollars, provided a life income for the kids, for the wife, for all of them. And just all of a sudden, one day he went crazy and flew or traveled from Washington State to Washington, D.C. to do an ambush of 2 National Guard troops. Makes perfect sense.
And that was the only reason he was there.
That's what they're saying. Kash Patel just nailed it, the Biden administration's betrayal. Did they miss any? The question to him was, did they miss any red flags in the asylum vetting? Patel says, you don't miss the signs that you were never even looked for, right? They did 0 vetting. But then you go back, and I had to go and find this, but if you go back, you can find, in the formal administration, that they said that their goal was 100% vetting. So Kash Patel is saying none. But the previous administration is saying they vetted everybody. Can you clarify the timeline of when the suspect was granted asylum? Kash Patel says, I believe Kristi Noem put that out, and that's a DHS matter, and I will refer it to them. So basically what he's saying is he knows that the timeline undermines the narrative of the Trump administration, because the shooter applied for asylum in December 2024 and was approved in April under Trump's administration. This is why Patel won't give any details. 2 weeks ago, General Flynn predicted on his show that the elements of the CIA would activate these Islamic sleeper cells in the United States in the coming months. An imam in Michigan has a message to Americans. He says, you Americans are the ignorant. The last hope for America is Islam, and we are the leaders of the world, the masters and the teachers. And this sentence was really interesting to me. He said, we will bring Sharia and And I'm going to leave it up to you guys to tell me what this means. He also said to also bring the spices to the white man's unseasoned chicken. What do you think? I think he's referring to you as chicken. You do a good chicken impersonation? Let's see it.
Mm-mm.
No?
You think that's what he's saying?
What would you think he was saying? Let's see here. Ihan Omar tells the media, we should now be monitoring, profiling, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men. So apparently this whole assassination of the troops is white males' faults. Piro says, you idiots on the left just flew in 160,000 unvetted Afghanistans and third world trash, and now a 20-year-old American is dead because of it. Yeah, leftists are now celebrating the shooting of the National Guard troops using the same rhetoric Democrats have been using. They said, and you guys tell me, do you guys think this is them celebrating? Quote, Guard members got shot today, and it's a good wake-up. Now you all know your job title is no longer oppressing people. I hope you quit serving this dictator whose orders to keep you in D.C. are illegal. Remember, just last week we were talking about how the Democrats were talking about don't obey an illegal order, right?
An illegal order.
Right. And then now they're saying, see, here you go. So they're politicizing it. Let's see here. What's Jen have to say? I think all of the Aloha snack bars need to be repatriated back to their respective homes. Just crazy to me. You guys hear what Jasmine Crockett, there's been a lot of stuff about her. She wants to comment on it. She went on camera and smeared our National Guard. She referred to them as slave patriots. Slave patrols. She said they were out there to control, intimidate, and terrorize people of color. This is the kind of garbage that lights the match, and I could not agree more. This talk like this from both sides, Republican and Democrat, super dangerous. In Dearborn, Michigan, the 12th Congressional District said here are her own constituents captured on video surveillance threatening to overthrow the United States government. How many sleeper cells do you think are dormant in the U.S. now? Made me think a little bit about 9/11, and then I got it spinning back about our narrative, just like the narrative we get for Thanksgiving, the narrative we get for 9/11, right? It's muddied, right? But just 13 terrorists fly some planes into a building, so they say, and now we've got 1,300. We're saying are all over the United States. Just so hard to put any of it into perspective for me. It's so hard to even know what to believe. The biggest false flag is right around the corner, says Red Pill Dispensary. These sick elites would rather have us start a civil war between ourselves before they allow themselves to be exposed, which I think is such a good point. How much of this is created to stop the eyes of the Epstein files, or were the Epstein files stopped to stop the eyes of what's going on in the other countries around the world and where money is going and at what rate money's going, right? And so it's all this big, theater. So they go on to say, you better have a plan, because whatever they have planned is right around the effing corner. Alex Jones was talking about an interview he did with General Michael Flynn. He said, worked with the Democrats planning a violent coup. So General Flynn is saying that the other side, right, the left, is actually planning a coup to overthrow the Trump administration. So, man, we've been talking about this for a long, long time about Civil War's already done, right? It's being fought behind the scenes. World War III is already going on, right? It's just being fought behind the scenes. And it's just, hasn't hit the Kardashians yet. It hasn't hit the soccer moms and the NASCAR dads. And I believe that to be true. But Michael Flynn lays out a battle plan to stop the globalist deep threat state and its tactics. Bottom line, President Trump must address the nation from the resolute desk of the Oval Office and mobilize the American people against the enemy within. And what he's referring to is the left. And again, you guys know this about me. I don't like the left or the right. I actually probably like the right even less than I like the left, only because the left are just crazy left, and the right lie to us, tell us they're for freedom, and they tell us for these things they don't really actually mean it. Don Lennon urged illegals to arm against federal officers just hours before the Guard troops were shot. Disgraced former CNN anchor Don Lennon told his followers that black and brown people here illegally should buy guns to fight back against federal officers, falsely claiming that the Second Amendment exists for illegal aliens to resist the government. His reckless call to arms came just before 2 National Guard troops were shot near the White House, one fatally. Lemon's rhetoric mirrors the seditious Six campaign to undermine the military discipline and encourage resistance to lawful orders. And hey, Lazy Loper, welcome in. Where's Squatchy? You probably are working him hard, aren't you? What do you think of all that?
She's probably working him hard.
Yeah, I meant all that.
Oh, yeah.
See, it's nothing simple, right? Jim Ferguson went on to say, how am I doing on time? I'm doing okay. Went on to say that America's been infiltrated and the warning couldn't be more serious. Joe Kent, the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, has now confirmed what millions have already feared. Thousands of unvetted Afghans entered the United States under Biden, and hundreds were flagged for ISIS ties, yet they were still allowed to come in. He goes on to say that 1,400 Afghans identified with ISIS and terrorist affiliates. Another 600 ISIS-linked Uzbeks were waved into America. These individuals now are inside U.S. cities, and Biden policies created the greatest domestic security breach in modern history. Now what do we do?
Now what?
Yep. What this means, the threat is domestic and not overseas. Biden failures are still endangering American lives right now. Trump inherited a compromised homeland that must be urgently secured. The enemy is already here, and the Americans deserve the full truth. Samo went on to talk about how the United States of America is the last stand of Western civilization, and it lives or dies here, and let's just hope that it lives. And I think that's also a very interesting point. You know, what they usually say, you know, what happens in Europe finally comes here. You know, like you can kind of watch the trends ahead of time.
Okay.
And, you know, there's been a lot of stuff going on, you know, and you see it every day. I can just open the news about, you know, some little girl being raped or some, you know, something happening, you know, over there and them losing, you know, what was traditionally theirs. And I'm going to talk more about kind of some of that kind of stuff of what's going on. But I think it's just crazy that you have people in American streets, you know, actively saying they want to overthrow, and you know, someone comes into the country and doesn't try to assimilate in any way, says, no, you know, you need to obey, you need to do it our way. And you know, people can say, oh, you know, don't take it out on those poor immigrants. I'm not a bit upset at an immigrant that comes here and says, hey, I want a better life. Not a bit. But someone who comes over here and says death to America, or someone who comes over here, right? That's a whole different thing. We aren't the same, you know? So anybody who wants to defend that, I don't know what to tell you, you know, but we're not the same. It's confirmed Trump unleashes ICE in the Muslim majority of Dearborn, Michigan. You guys have probably heard all of this stuff going on lately about all of the speeches and the 5 prayers a day and all of this stuff. So Trump apparently, on the heels of the National Guard, went ahead and sent a contingency of ICE into Muslim majority Dearborn, Michigan. I think it just gets worse from here, says the American Papa Bear. 2 National Guardsmen were shot near the White House, and an Afghan who overstayed his visa and let in by the Biden administration. Well, except that his asylum was granted by the Trump administration, just so American Papa Bear, there's both sides involved. And that's what they do. And you know what I mean. I know what he means. I have been saying it for a long time. This Islamic mayor of Michigan wants a white man to move out of the city after voicing a concern about the road being named after Osama Sablini, who have declared sympathy to Hamas and Hezbollah terrorists. How did we get here into America? So basically, they're just saying that, you know, people who don't believe in Sharia should just leave Michigan. You know, it's Michigan, it's the United States. And you know what's crazy about that? Why would they pick of all the states that they would pick to go infiltrate? Like, Michigan's a bad pick.
Why?
Because there's more registered gun owners in Michigan than any state in the union, I think. I mean, maybe that was the purpose. I don't know. Trump is now claiming that the National Guard members that were shot in D.C. because they've been so effective at stopping crime. So he's saying that what happened there, them being there, that's just a sign that it's working, that the criminals are fighting back. They don't like the pressure that's being on. I think it's a kind of a weak argument, but I guess we shall see. Trump says if you look at Somalia, they're being taken over in Minnesota. Reporter says, what do Somalians have to do with the Afghan guy who shot the National Guard members? Trump said, nothing. But Somalians have caused us a lot of trouble. I found that was interesting. And then just that night, the U.S. troops launched strikes in Somalia on the terrorists, special forces groups with, I think it was 13 or 14 helicopters, did raids that night in Somalia. And then breaking this morning, the U.S. is planning a swift operation against Afghan safe havens after those two National Guard troops. So we're bombing Somalia. We're about to go bomb Afghanistan again, right, for that. But the good news is, right, we're going to have peace between Russia and the Ukraine in his first 100 days guaranteed. No, right. Oh, wait, there's more. The U.S. will soon launch land military operations against Nicolas Maduro regime in Venezuela. This is crazy, right? So Trump is actively saying a ground operation in Venezuela. President Trump states that the U.S. land operations in Venezuela against suspected drug trafficking networks will begin very soon. That's a quote. We will start stopping them by land as well. So we're bombing people in Somalia, bombing people in Afghanistan, and now we're going to be bombing people in Venezuela. And this, again, Dana Green for the win, right? Dana Green says peace. Doesn't sound like peace to me. Now, yeah, I'm not going to go there. Venezuela is ready to fight back. Their defense minister said that they will respond to any strike. Venezuelan Defense Minister Lopez publicly warned that the county is ready to fight any aggressor, a clear hint at Donald Trump's recent harsh statements. Do not make the mistake of attacking Venezuela. The people and the armed forces are ready to respond, and we are ready for anything, he said. At the same time, Nicolas Maduro ordered the country's Air Force to stay alert and ready and prepared for national emergency. Lovely, right?
I good thing you told him that.
I just think it's crazy. I was a soldier, and you guys know this about me. And, those lives aren't disposable. I mean, they agree to go protect their country because they love their country.
Yeah.
But they're not disposable. They're not just to be thrown away, And Nito says Somalia is a hotbed for pirates. Well, I understand that. But Nito, I think my counter argument, don't you think we have enough problems at home? I mean, we cannot, if you go back and look at any civilization, the Roman Empire, the Egyptian Empire, any of them, one of the things that all of them made the mistake of doing, which ultimately played a hand in the collapse of the country, was they allowed those lines to get too far. They fought too many battles in too many places, too far away from home. And this is true for all of them. And I agree that Somalia is not a good place. I agree that Afghanistan is probably not a good place. I agree that a lot of these places are, but why is that a problem? We have so many problems here at home, right? If any of you guys get to go buy cheap stuff for Thanksgiving, we'll talk about that some too. We have plenty of problems here. We just had 2 National Guard troops, executed in the streets. And, the United States is going to make a big, crazy deal over these National Guard troops. But the fact of the matter is we have policemen being executed in the streets all the time. Right? We have citizens being executed. The streets of Chicago are horrible. The streets of St. Louis are horrible, right? I mean, it's just smoke and mirrors. But I don't think that we should be spending our the precious lives over there fighting pirates in Somalia, right? I mean, they talk about, in Venezuela, they're doing it to stop the drug running. How about we just finish the wall? Right? Why we got to send people over there to die? Jen says, I don't think any of the Afghan, Somali, or Venezuelans here will retaliate here for what's done to their families in their respective country. Right. It absolutely drives me crazy. Let's see here. Breaking: Donald Trump declares he is overturning every single Biden executive order signed with an auto pen, claiming that was 92% of them. And the quote is, any document signed by Sleepy Joe Biden with an auto pen, which was approximately 92% of them, is hereby terminated and of no further force or effect. The auto pen is not allowed to be used if approval is not specifically given by the President of the United States. So that's a whole nother thing. So what they'll do right here is, they'll get the Commerce Secretary and all these orders will go out. They'll stop funding a bunch of stuff, right? Like all of the stuff that he did is just with an executive order is, just wiped out. Trump says he is throwing out every document Joe Biden signed using the auto pen. This would also include pardons for Dr. Anthony Fauci, which is a good thing, General Mark Miley, which I also think is a good thing, and the Biden family and members of the House January 6th committee. President Trump warns that if Joe Biden lied about using the auto pen, he will face perjury charges.
They can't tell the difference.
Oh, I'm sure they can tell the difference. Forensics, I'm sure, can tell the difference. But it's just, this is again what I'm saying. There's so many problems here that need fixed. Just like this. I mean, we're talking about it for how many lives, guys, have we sat here and talked about how there is a battle going on between the two political sides of our country behind the scenes. I mean, they're actively talking about overthrowing. They're actively, I mean, I've shown you guys examples tonight of how they say arm the immigrants.
That's crazy.
Right? I mean, you have this war going on behind the scenes. Dana Green says Somali refugees in Minnesota bilked the government out of millions, saying they were feeding thousands, and it was a bunch of it was lies, a bunch of them. I am not suggesting there isn't problems like that. They need to fix all of those problems. I'm 100% supportive of it. I just don't think we get it done by invading Venezuela. So, but what a mess. And you guys, let's talk about some way more lighter news. You guys follow that Campbell Soup thing?
Oh, yeah. There's something about printed meat, lab meat.
Yeah. So the vice president of Campbell Soup was caught on camera saying that Campbell Soup was for poor people. And that the meat that they use in the Campbell Soup was lab printed, right? Campbell Soup VIP, Martin Bali, was secretly recorded claiming that the company uses bioengineered meat in their products. They aren't healthy, and that mostly poor people will buy them. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So yeah, I probably won't be buying Campbell Soup. They went on to fire him, right? Right. But after the Campbell Soup vice president admission of unhealthy 3D printed meats being used, Americans should be cautious of everything that the Campbell's company makes. So I just thought I'd give you a list.
A list of what they make.
What they make.
Oh, they make a whole bunch.
Oh
of
yeah.
Stuff.
So on meals and beverages, they make Campbell's Chunky, Rayo's homemade Italian sauce, Prego sauce, Pacific Foods, which is organic soups, Pace, which is salsa, right? Pace salsa. Swanson V8 juice, Campbell's slow kettle style soups, Campbell's honey style soups, Campbell's cooking sauces, and SpaghettiOs.
Mm-hmm.
For their snacks, they make Goldfish crackers, right? Pepperidge Farms cookies, Lance, which is a sandwich cracker, Snyder's of Hanover's, Snack Factory pretzels, Cape Cod potato chips, Kettle Brand potato chips, Late July tortilla chips, Jay's potato chips, Archway cookies, and veggie sticks. Gregory says, tastes like chicken.
Mm-hmm. How could they get away with it being lab printed?
The FDA approved lab printed meat. That's how they get away with it.
It'd be crunchy.
Oh no, I bet you hardly can tell. They don't have enough meat in there to tell anyway.
But it'd be soft.
You ever eat a bowl of Campbell's chicken noodle soup? Yeah, I mean it's meat glue and all that good stuff. Yeah, yeah. I will not be buying any Campbell Soup. I can assure you of that.
But Campbell's is made by or
what's up, Squatchy? He said Cannibal Soup.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Furthermore, on the food front, just so you guys know, the 5 companies that are feeding us insects. I read a very interesting article about that. I'm sure there's many more. But insects contain chitin, a cancer-causing chemical. Humans aren't built to benefit from eating insects. Don't buy into the nonsense that they're healthy for you. They want us sick and humiliated. Let the rich eat them, the very ones, the 1% pushing this on the 99%. That won't go near it. And I thought I would just share these ones with you because some of them I guarantee you guys eat. Barilla, which is a pasta, Beyond Meat, I would never eat anyway, but Red Bull energy drinks, right? Furno, which is Nutella, and PepsiCo, all the Lay's chips.
Huh.
So,
Has bugs in it.
there's bugs. Yeah. You know, one thing that I've learned over time, when corruption and bribes spread in the economy, it's always the people who end up suffering. You start seeing it everywhere. Schools get worse, hospitals run out of medicine, and even food becomes unsafe. Everyone's just trying to make a quick buck, and in the end, we're the ones going to pay for it. It's sad because corruption doesn't just steal money, it steals our future, it steals our trust, our hope, and the belief that doing the right thing still matters. We deserve better, and it starts with refusing to stay silent.
Mm-hmm.
I could not agree more. And this is what's happened to all of us. This is where we find ourselves today. Anybody think any of the executive branch, the legislative branch, the judicial branch are working for you? Anybody think the medical system's working for you? Anybody think that the education system's working for you? This is where we are. And we're here because people decide to be silent. And they allow it to go on. They allow it to continue. And this is why. This is exactly why we're here. I found an interesting video of a USDA inspector who found a table. The guy's selling his own home produce because, of course, it's not approved by them. The same people who put bugs in our food, right? The same exact people who have betrayed us on all of these fronts. And their solution was just to ruin the person's produce by pouring bleach on them so they cannot be sold to the public. So we have to get the permission from the deciders, right, for every aspect of our life. And then you wonder, though, how it gets to a place where if they can give it, then they can also take it away, right? And this is how we end up with digital ID. This is how we go down this entire road of modern slavery right here, is because we put our faith and we put the state at a level of God, and we ask them for permission, and we elevate them with our own actions by investing in the system, by continuing to feed the system. You know, we continue to do that. We let our batteries, right, of who we are go to power the system, all being happy that we get a new TV every couple of years. It's absolutely ridiculous. You know, Gregory says, I'll leave the chickens eat the bugs and I'll eat the chickens. I actually agree with that. 100% agree with that. Another American goes shopping at a grocery store chain, Wegmans, in upstate New York for Thanksgiving food items. An assorted cookie tray, $42. Shrimp cocktail, $65. Who has shrimp at Thanksgiving?
Some people.
That's weird to me. Anyway, cheese and pepperoni tray, $45. Beef tenderloin, $34.91. It's small. The price is $34.99 a pound.
So it wasn't even a full pound.
Yeah. Yeah, these prices are getting outrageous, but of course, right? We don't have inflation. It's 3%. You know, 3%. Everybody, let me tell you, break it to everybody. You know why they say that the inflation is 3 or 4%? Because they only want to have to raise Social Security at that level, right? Americans are shopping at grocery store chains. Wegmans Thanksgiving food items: macaroni and cheese, $42. Butternut squash, $42. Well, that one's a scam because I'm going to tell you, we grow it and it's prolific. Stuffing, $42. These are just pre-made items you throw directly in the oven. Trump's holidays tax as compared to last year. The price of turkey is up 49%, right? Corn, 21%. Cranberry sauce, 22%. Sweet onions, 56%. Aluminum foil, 40%. Right, the average Thanksgiving turkey has doubled in price since 2013. In 2013, it was 99 cents a pound. Today, it's $2. That's a 100% increase for a bird that tastes exactly the same. Right? So, again, guys, I promise you, it's not a Republican versus Democrat thing. Right? They're pricing us out of it. You know, I get so disheartened by all of these people who reach out to me who would love nothing more than to just have a piece of land and grow their own food, but can't reach it. And this is why. You think wages since last year are up 49%, or 21%, or 22%, or 56%, or 40%? No way, right?
Yeah.
No, this is what they mean by you'll own nothing and you'll be happy.
Yeah.
You know, recently I got a big property tax increase on my property. And I was doing the math, and through my career, like I've already maxed out Social Security. And I know it's the last quarters and all that stuff, but if I retired today, I've already maxed out Social Security. And at the rate that we're going, I'm not going to be able to afford to stay in my home.
Because of the property taxes.
Property taxes will be, well, if it ended today, my property taxes would be 25% of my Social Security. But as it continues to grow, and that gap between Social Security, that gap between your wages and the gap between the real cost, the inflation of things, that gap gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so today it's 25%, tomorrow it's 50%. You know, the next day it's 75%, and pretty soon you just can't pay it.
Well, yeah, because our taxes went up over 100%.
Over 100%.
What do you say it was? 105%?
Yeah, about that. It was just up over double. You know, let's see here. Dana Green says, yeah, they SS 3%, but medical went up, I think 5%. Yeah. Hey Mario, what's up? Said I'm here. What did I miss? Can you give me a recap? Oh, we've been chit chatting. Like, I actually have good news tonight, bud.
Did you tell him about the water?
Gypsy said it's not good. Oh no, I've got big water problems at the community building. I can't believe I forgot all of that. You know, DePlatt says the government is detached from inflation because the money still spends when they print it. Yep. They 3D printing food like meat, so it's like the food replications on Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yep. Gregor said they had turkeys at our local grocery store for 99 cents. Oh, good. You should buy a couple, put them in the freezer.
You should have bought one.
Well, except hold on a second. We don't know what they put in that turkey.
Oh.
And it's getting worse.
It could be glued.
Isn't inflation increase only quoted from the previous quarter? Yeah, no, because they'll talk about the previous month, right? September's inflation is up, but I don't think they finalize it to the end of the quarter. And it's funny math. Completely funny math as far as how it works. $10 for this fast food portions have hit a new level of disrespect. Right. So they went to a Jimmy John's. See that little sandwich right there?
Yeah.
That was a $10 sandwich.
That's a Jimmy John sandwich?
Yep. And they're little. They're like little itty bitty bun. You know, like it was little. I wish I had the video where I could play it for you. But that's called shrinkflation. Right. So you can increase the price, you can decrease the quality, or you can decrease the quantity. All of those result in a higher price paid.
Yeah.
Right.
All.
Right. Or all. Right. Yeah. Matrix Mysteries. I really like this young man. He it made me kind of sad, but he said, "I'm not asking for a handout, man. We're just asking for a fair shot at life. A worker breaks down how every paycheck is swallowed by rent, bills, and debt before there's even a chance to breathe, let alone save or build anything. It feels like the game is rigged." Well, my friend, Matrix Mysteries, it is rigged. Yep. They absolutely don't want you to own anything. They don't want you to be independent. They don't want you to be free thinking. They don't want any of those things because that's a threat to their power. Right. And at the end of the day, I'm telling you the battles are going on behind the scenes. And I'm not even telling you that there's a good side and a bad side. I'm telling you there's two bad sides fighting for power. Neither one of them are good. You know, you hope that someday humanity comes through and someday good people step up and say, hey, let's celebrate freedom and liberty and the things that this country was founded on. But I don't have a lot of hope for that. I certainly don't see it in the cards, anytime soon. New York City Christmas trees just hit $1,200 for two. Yes, two. A woman in Soho says she stopped at a Christmas tree stand and walked away with a receipt that looks like rent. $1,200 for two Christmas trees, not only some luxury Rockefeller import, just regular Christmas trees on a sidewalk in Manhattan. Right? Yeah, we need to go get into that holiday too, huh?
Getting Christmas?
And the origins of all that.
Yeah.
Anyway, former finance professor Tad Smith said that for 25 years of teaching finance, I realized this at age 58. If the money printer grows 8 to 10% annually and the S&P 500 returns 9%, it's just treading water. True wealth comes from outpacing the printer. So untrue. Concerned Citizen said meat inflation is at 12.1%. The continued attack on farmers is very real, and now food inflation is on the rise again, with experts predicting steep upcoming price hikes for meat eggs, milk, and fresh produce. All by design, they want you eating Bill Gates plant food and insect burgers. Yep. And the UN just did a report that birth rates, because birth rates are falling and they're speeding up. At the rate they're falling, says, but they're not falling because people don't want kids. Isn't that amazing? And they've probably spent $30 million coming up with these answers when any one of us could have told them this. Right? It turns out it's not a desire problem, it's an afford it problem. In a massive UN survey of 14,000 people across 14 countries found that 2 in 5 adults over 50 didn't have many children as they wanted. The biggest barrier was housing costs, child expenses, and job insecurity. 1 in 4 cited health issues. The 5th blamed fears about climate change, wars, and pandemics. Dr. Canham from the UNFPA, the issue is lack of choice, not desire. That is the real fertility crisis. In South Korea, 3 in 5 cited financial limitations. In Sweden, with 480 days of paid parental leave, fewer than 1 in 5 said the same. Crazy. Isn't that crazy? Crazy. Let's talk digital IDs real quick. We're going to run out of time, but I'll do it quick here. Digital ID is how this whole thing gets controlled back together through digital ID. We get central bank digital currencies. Through central bank digital currencies, we get social credit scores, right? This is just the natural progression. So you know who's on that side. The UN, the European Union, the World Economic Forum, Bill Gates, Microsoft, Rockefeller, MasterCard, World Bank, India, Estonia, Larry Ellison from Oracle, and Google and Apple are the big pushers for digital ID, and obviously because they'll make big money doing it. And to reward them, the United Kingdom government today announced a $1.8 billion extra funding for mandatory digital ID. The European Union just voted in favor of a non-legislative report proposing minimum age for social media platforms. And Australia, just this week, became the first country to ban social media for all kids under 16.
Wow.
Did you know that?
Banned it.
Banned it.
Are they going to keep them off of it?
Yep. So what's rolling out right now is nationwide by the end of the current parliament. It'll be mandatory in the United Kingdom, the European Union by late December 2026 for wallet availability, private sector acceptance by late December 2027. China launched 15 July of 2025. Legislation commenced 30 November in Australia for private sector participation by December 2026. All pretty much within the next year, they're saying it's all going to go digital. I propose we not buy gifts this year. We make them opt out of the consumer game. I think that's a great idea. Me and B have been talking about this a lot lately about, what do we do to bring it back to being family, and, I got to rent a mechanical bull to put in the middle of a community building and we'll have fun, or, Mario Kart tournament. Do we,
to bring back family,
gingerbread houses? What do we do? Creating our own traditions, creating our own. I'm just making the actual
because
thing up.
we have a lot of people who aren't blood related, but
They're family.
we consider family.
Yeah. So how do we make our own traditions? And this is something I'm going to really challenge in my personal life. Because again, same with the whole present thing. It's just gotten to be total consumerism. And just like in Thanksgiving, it wasn't about buying all of this stuff, and it wasn't about all of that. It was just simply about them saying, "Hey, you know what? War's been hard. A lot of people have lost. There's a lot of widows out there, and fatherless children, and etc. And we need to give thanks to our Creator for keeping the ones that are here alive, and it's turned into this big O event that starts the whole shopping holiday. Because what happens right after Thanksgiving?
Black Friday.
Right after Thanksgiving, it's Black Friday, and off we go running to the store. We didn't go, by the way. But hey, Lindsay Freeze, what's going on? Good to see you. China's the model for many nations, says Klaus Schwab, and so some of these are pretty interesting. So, banned, broke, and homeless, the human cost of China's social credit system. It begins with whispers that few people under bridges, a few families are gone overnight, but soon it became impossible to ignore. Across China, tens of thousands vanished into digital silence, not criminals, but victims of an algorithm. Behind the promise of trust, a hidden system now decides who can live freely and who disappears from society itself. China's abandoned the communism economy 45 years ago. Now China has an authoritarian government with a capitalist economy, which is more ruthless than America's. Tens of thousands of young people are becoming homeless in China because they are blacklisted by their social credit system. this is what we're keep talking about, how digital ID is CBDC, is social credit score. There are many videos out there you guys can watch of a scooter goes driving by a police, and because it's 5 miles over, it automatically deducts a point from his driver's license. It automatically takes money out of his account to pay the fine. No jury, no trial, no rebuttal, no nothing. That's it, right? David says relatives are one thing. We get to choose our family and community. Amen. Yep, Jen says, I think that's a great idea. Everyone has some sort of talent they can share. Yep. See, that's I think we really need to get pushing towards that, something like that, right? I'm making food gift boxes, homemade mixed muffin soup mixes. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, Pete says, don't forget Cyber Monday. Yeah, I guess what's going to happen on Monday.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to skip this stuff because I'm already over and get to my last slide because I think it's important. I wanted to read this, guys, to you guys, and just try to encourage you guys, and then we'll leave with some parting words, and I'm going to be a minute over, but that's okay. Ever wonder why the school systems don't teach any real life skills anymore? Because the moment a man becomes self-reliant, the system loses control. They don't want you to know how to survive without them. They want you dependent. They want you obedient. They want you to be reliant on the government. And so they teach kids how to comply and not think. Self-reliance is dangerous to the people who crave power, because once you can feed yourself, once you can defend yourself, and once you can think for yourself, they can't control you anymore. That's why they vilify independence, because the system doesn't fear rebellion. It fears men who no longer need it. The strongest rebellion left in the world is a man who refuses to depend on the system that's trying to enslave him. And I think this is the moral of the whole entire thing. And this is what we should be absolutely striving to do, is not fight them, ignore them, prepare for yourself, right? Build your own, build this radical level of accountability, right? This radical level of I'm going to take responsibility for my life around me. I'm not going to half-ass it. I'm going to put big effort into it. I'm going to try to ignore the outside world to the best of my ability, focus my attentions on my family, on our own traditions, and building a life and building things with purpose. Because at the end of the day, none of us are going to get out of here alive. And because of that, what do you really have to lose? You're not going to leave this world alive. So go chase that dream, right? Go chase it. Whatever that is, whatever makes you feel free and whatever makes you, feel happy. So my parting words is we're not getting out of here alive. So what do you got to lose? What do you got, babe?
Yeah. I was going to say to be thankful that you're alive.
There you go. David's got a good one too. Right there. We create community and systems that make theirs obsolete. Couldn't agree more. We love you guys. We'll see you guys in a week. I'm thankful for all of you. I'm thankful for the family we've built here. We're going to go try to kick its butt. I'm actually going to work with Pod 4 tomorrow. That'll be good. Right. All right. We'll see you guys. Good night, everybody.
Good night.